All right, I would like to call the business meeting of the Portland Board of Public Education to order. It is Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. We are meeting in a hybrid format. Some of us here at Casco Bay, some of us online. The majority of the student reps will be joining us later after we do some executive sessions. But first, Dr. Warren, will you please call the
Member Ali. Member Yusra Ali. Vice Chair Bondo.
Présente.
Member Bryden.
Here.
Member Lena.
Here.
Member Noor.
Here.
Member Opperman.
Here.
Student Representative Fitzgerald.
She's here.
Oh. Student Representative Kantiba.
Here.
Student Representative Lee. Student Representative O'Brien. Student Representative Ziegler. Chair Lentz.
Present. Thank you, Dr. Warren. And first up tonight, we have two executive sessions. So I'm going to make a motion for the consideration and action to enter into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056E to consult with legal counsel. And then we'll be moving into consideration and action to enter into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056D to discuss Portland adult education negotiations. Is there a second? Thank you, Board Member Lena. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, beautiful. So we're going to move into executive session in the back of the room, and we'll be back by 7. All right, thank you. All right, so we are back, and up first we have the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Portland Public Schools recognizes the original inhabitants of the land on which our city and schools stand. The Wolastoqiyik or Maliseet, Micmac, Penobscot, and Passamaquoddy tribes, known collectively as the Wabanaki Confederacy or people of the Dawnland. We are honored to have Wabanaki children among our students today, and as a district, we are committed to making the past, present, and future of Wabanaki peoples visible in our schools and classrooms. And then Student Representative O'Brien is going to read our mission and our definition of equity.
Thank you. Our mission. The Portland Public Schools is responsible for ensuring a challenging, relevant, and joyful education that empowers every learner to make a difference in the world. We believe we build relationships among families, educators, and the community to promote the healthy development and academic achievement of every learner. And our definition of equity. Equity is all people being held to high expectations and having access to opportunities that are reflective of their individual needs, identities, and experiences. Equity is achieved in Portland Public Schools when there are no identifiable differences in outcomes and experiences for any population subgroup. Thank you.
Thank you, Student Representative O'Brien. And now we're going to move into public comment. So as a reminder about public comment, members of the public may speak to any subject directly related to operations of the schools, except for personnel matters or complaints concerning specific employees or students, which shall be addressed through established policies and procedures. If an item is on the agenda, please use the public comment time associated with that item. Comments are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes or 6 minutes for individuals using an interpreter to make their comment. Individuals may not relinquish a portion of their allotted time to another speaker. The board may not respond to comments, and please refrain from responding in the audience. Speakers must refrain from engaging in disruptive conduct, including but not limited to using vulgar and/or obscene language, threatening others using words or by other actions, using pejorative or discriminatory language with reference to a person or group on the basis of their religion, ethnicity, nationality, race, color, descent, gender, or other identity factor, making defamatory comments, exceeding the allotted time limits, talking over or interrupting others, offering repetitive comments, and offering comment on matters unrelated to the school district's programs, policies, or operations. I will stop any public comment that is contrary to these rules. To give public comment, please come forward to the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Begin by introducing yourself with your name and address, and we'll alternate back and forth if needed. I will keep the time and raise a yellow folder indicating that you have 30 seconds remaining, and I'll raise a red folder signifying the end of your time. So if you would like to give public comment, you are welcome to come up to the podium here or raise your hand in Zoom.
Hi, folks. My name's Lucy Schulman. I'm a resident of North Deering, District 5 here in Portland, just a few blocks from here. I am an hourly teacher at Portland Adult Education, where I've worked for over 3 years now. As you know, we've been in negotiations for quite a number of months now, and our team was really surprised to hear that the school board chose to pull the plug on negotiations and file for mediation rather than make a good faith attempt to collaborate. We thought that members of a board that affirm their commitment to equity so often and so publicly would immediately see the problem with a two-caste system of compensation between the different teachers at adult education. We thought that you would be eager to address the systemic inequities that are in your power. It just isn't right to have a set of jobs that systemically exclude people who can't afford a significant financial sacrifice of doing so. At adult ed, despite our overwhelmingly African student population, only 4 teachers out of nearly 60 are people of color, and we don't think that that's something that we should settle for. And we also hope that you will realize how this situation will negatively affect the talent pipeline and ability to retain staff, especially, like I said, people who aren't already retired teachers and who can't afford these financial sacrifices that need to be made in order to work at adult ed. I love my students. I would swallow just about anything for them. But I'm going to be graduating with my master's in a few months, and unless I can be compensated appropriately for my education, experience, and expertise, I'm going to be leaving. You can expect to hear more from us in the days to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy.
And we're back. Good evening. My name's Nicola Wales. I'm a PPS parent and a taxpaying citizen of this city. I live off of Chesley Ave. Oh man, the last 2 weeks have been so much fun for me. I have reviewed the proposed budget and fully support these additional programs for students, adding more resources towards teaching, reading, and writing, and especially special education. However, I do not believe that there are enough resources going to middle and high schools, or transportation for that matter. The focus should be a shift to using contracted services less and instead creating more positions and or allotting funds for pay increases in areas hit by critical staffing issues. In the interest of time, I just wanted to focus on one part of this budget because it's so tough to get through all of it. Regular pay categories. When breaking down these numbers, here's what I think I found. Regular pay increases and decreases. These are under the superintendent's budget. Communication, 139% increase for 3 people, no new staff. Facilities, 16% for 14 people. Finance, 12% for 10 staff. HR, minus 1%, but they're all brand new. IT, 27% for 15 people. Transportation, minus 6%. We're adding jobs, but regular pay is going down. Here's the big one for me, guys. 36% for 7 people. Superintendent's office, that's $175,000. Among 7 people, that's $25K a person. Oh my gosh, as hard as I know that his secretary works, I know they're not getting that raise. So I guess the question is, how much more money are we looking to give the superintendent? And I would love to know the rationale for that at some point. For reference, using those same metrics, King is at a 4% increase, Lyman Moore is at a 2% increase. Lincoln, I don't know how to interpret these numbers. Lincoln's at 0. That proposed increase is a bit hard to swallow for a tax-paying citizen here in Portland, knowing what has occurred this year alone. There is that wonderful, terrible PR nightmare that was the January hearing. PPS staff are still reeling from that.
30 seconds, Nico.
The superintendent removed our physical wellness teacher. Last time I came here to speak, he went and he talked to one of my union reps at my school and directly contacted my principal.
As I mentioned in the guidelines.
I know,
if
you guys want to hide everything, but you want more money.
No,
400 kids didn't get taught and you don't care. You don't want to tell the people what happened. You don't want transparency. You want their money. Why am I the only one this upset that 400 kids went 4.5 months without instruction? You were elected. I had to look up the definition of a school board member because you guys got me so messed up about it. You're supposed to act as liaisons for the people that voted you in, but you keep hiding behind it's a personnel issue. Somebody needs to be held responsible for what happened to the kids in my school and to the staff in my school, but you guys don't care. You just want the money. It's ridiculous. You should all be embarrassed of yourselves.
Is there anyone else here in the room or on Zoom that would like to give public comment? All right, with that, I'm going to close public comment. And tonight, the order of remarks is going to be a little bit different. We're going to start with the student remarks. We've got Student Representative Kintiba up first, and then we're going to go to the superintendent, and then I will close on the remarks.
Thank you, Chair. Hello, everyone. My name is Julie Dove Kintiba, PAE student representative. I believe in the power of student voices and the importance of creating a positive and supportive learning environment for all of us. I stand here today as a passionate advocate for positive change in our school. I took several workforce development courses at PAE, Bridge to CNA, Certified Nursing Assistant, Child Development Associate, and Medical Assistant Pre-Apprenticeship. This time, I am looking to be coached for my ISET at the New Learning Lab. I already finished my high school in Congo, which is my country that I born, but I want to take the ISET in English to be better prepared for college, and this is why I'm studying for the ISET this term. Portland Adult Education welcomes thousands of learners each year. Students who need a high school diploma, students who want to improve their English, language skills, or professionals hoping to advance their careers. And for example, one of the students told me, Portland Adult Education gives us wings to fly. If you finish like a training workforce class, you have opened doors for employment to take a job. PAE helps people to reach their goals. But this year we have a diverse range of community programs that brings people and resources together for academic courses, workforce training courses, and personal enrichment courses. Workforce programs offered this year are teletraining, transportation careers, cleaning energy partnership, solar panel installation, pre-apprenticeship and heat pump installation, pre-apprenticeship, English for job preparation, bridge to healthcare careers, healthcare office certificate, supported CNA and medical assistant pre-apprenticeship. PAE helps students to increase their English language fluency, earn credit for high school's diploma, improve skills for college or career, prepare for the HiSET or Accuplacer tests. We offer 45 ESOL classes every term. Every day we have about 300 to 40 students and staff coming in and out to the building, but we have not had a regular custodian for several months. This year is very difficult for the largest school in the district. Recent events we have the ESOL Level 5 showcase that we have today, and yesterday several workforce class celebration and mock interviews on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We have over 1,000 people on the waiting list to get into ESOL classes. Out of 1,900 students or more, 223 are ages from 17 to 23. We are expecting to welcome other 76 students from the Portland High School next year. We have weekly programs for young adult students focusing on belonging, English language, and skill building. We still have a lack of parking this year, like last year too, but this year it's been very difficult, but because they're starting towing cars, we don't have parking there. In conclusion, I will say, but the parking makes students difficult to attend the class on time. In conclusion, I will say I'm asking for your trust together. Let's build a school where every student feels heard and supported. Join us in creating a future where unity inspires change. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Student Representative Katiba. Board or other student representatives, does anyone have questions for Student Representative Katiba? Board Member Opperman, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Representative Katiba. Very, very interesting and lots of things happening at PAE. How many years have you been at PAE?
I have been there, but like from 2018, but I didn't use the whole from 2018 to now, but I just taking classes step by step until now.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Any other questions from the board or other student representatives? Thank you so much for that update.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And with that, I'm going to turn over to the superintendent.
Thank you. Tonight, I'm going to take a little bit longer, as tonight I want to address our district's support for the diversity found in our students and staff, and specifically for our transgender students, staff, and athletes. The Portland Public Schools' vision is that all learners will be fully prepared to participate and succeed in a diverse and ever-changing world. This vision doesn't change if the student identifies as white, black, or brown, speaks 3 languages or 1, is learning English or grew up speaking it, passes the math tests on the first try, or needs additional support from an education technician. The mission of the Portland Public Schools to ensure a challenging, relevant, and joyful education that empowers every learner to make a difference in the world has not changed and will not change. We continue to strive to ensure that everyone at the school district is held to high expectations and has access to opportunities that are reflective of their individual needs and experiences. I want to assure you tonight that the PPS community, and I want to assure the PPS community that we will continue to stay true to that mission and all that it takes to accomplish it. We are Maine's largest and most diverse school district. Approximately 53% of our students are students of color, and about 47% are white. 1/3 of our nearly 6,500 students come from homes where languages other than English are spoken, a total of about 60 languages this year. We're also socioeconomically diverse. 56% of our students are economically disadvantaged. Nearly 1/5 of our students receive special education services. Our students and staff are also diverse in a variety of other ways that include ethnicity, gender, gender identity, sexual orientation, physical ability, religious affiliation, and cultural background. That diversity is an asset. Many families cite our diversity as the reason they choose to live in Portland and to send their children to our schools rather than to move to the more homogeneous communities around us. Like us, they know and understand that PPS students benefit from learning side by side with people who are different from them, not only because those differences exist in every community, but also because knowing how to interact with people who have differences helps empower them to succeed in the real environments they'll encounter in college, career, and our global world. Our data, however, shows that achievement and opportunity gaps are experienced by groups of students in our diverse population. On the Maine through-year assessment in 2024, there was a 44 percentage point difference between multilingual learners and non-multilingual learners in reading and a 40% difference in math. On the same assessment, there was a 39 percentage point difference on reading and a 35% difference on the math assessment for economically disadvantaged students and non-economically disadvantaged students. We will continue to use our data to make sure we address the gaps experienced by our students and advance practices that promote positive outcomes for all students. To do anything less would be a dereliction of our duty as educational professionals. Examples of that targeted support include special education programming, programming to support English learners, reading intervention programming, and our homeroom structure that promotes a sense of belonging and community among all students within the school. Also included are student groups that support healthy self-identity and community, such as our Black Student Union, Muslim Student Association, and Jewish Student Alliance, which are all open to students from across the schools. I joined PPS because I've spent my entire career working to support students who are often underserved and overlooked. As I shared at our all-staff welcome event at Merrill Auditorium this past August, I believe that Portland is the school district in this country best positioned to close the achievement gap for our students. I'm not going to back down from that mission. Our board is not going to back down from that mission, and our teachers, leaders, and staff are not going to back down from that mission and the work that is required to achieve breakthrough outcomes for all students. One essential component of getting to our shared vision is to build a teaching faculty and staff that is reflective of the diverse community in which we live and work. This work is grounded in educational research. Studies show the positive impact of a diverse teaching faculty on student outcomes. Research shows that students benefit when they learn from teachers with diverse backgrounds. Lindsay and Holt found that having more same-race teachers in schools resulted in lower suspension rates for Black students at all grade levels. Blazer found that teachers of color have a positive outcome on academic outcomes for all students, regardless of the race of the student. Gerhenchen, Hart, Hyman, Lindsay, and Papper-George found that students of color with teachers of color are more likely to achieve high school graduation, college enrollment, and college graduation. In our hiring, the quality of the candidate is paramount. We are committed to hiring the best educator for each classroom and staff member for each position. That requires that we have strong hiring practices that are consistent across hiring teams. This includes addressing implicit bias, something that is present in each of us. We will continue to provide training to hiring committees on effective hiring practices to ensure that we get the best person for each position. Also, to ensure that we have access to the best pool of candidates, we will continue to intentionally market our positions in a wide range of job markets. Our best recruitment strategy is supporting and developing the staff we currently have in our schools and in our facilities. Our strategic plan challenges us to deepen that professional development and improve the effectiveness of our support. We will continue to work on this. Over the next 3 weeks, our board will be doing some small revisions to our district's equity policy, which the board initially approved in 2021. These revisions are not to roll back our commitment, but rather to reinforce it and to ensure that the policy is well positioned to assist us in continuing our work. The board will be addressing the equity policy in light of the 2023 U.S. Supreme Court decision in the Harvard case determining that race-conscious affirmative action in college admissions is unconstitutional. That said, I want to go back to where I started. We are a great district because of our diversity. It is who we are. Our vision and our mission have not changed. We are focused on ensuring that our students leave us prepared and empowered, and that requires that we provide them programming that meets students' specific needs in an environment that is joyful and celebrates the diversity of our community. I also want to speak tonight about supporting the rights of our transgender students, staff, and athletes. In our country's history, there have been many civil rights struggles, including but not limited to fights for women's rights to vote, for racial equality, and for gay marriage. In each of these fights, the opposition in part was driven by fear and attempts to ostracize or other people who looked, act, or believed in something different. Today, I see that happening again with our transgender or non-binary students, and in particular, our transgender athletes. When I came to this district, I was focused on the work of educating our students and improving our outcomes. I wasn't interested in proactively speaking out on social matters or political matters. That said, it is simply unacceptable that there are efforts by the federal government and some in our state to ostracize a student population that is estimated to be less than 1% of our student population. In light of this, I cannot continue to sit silently. In Maine, our LGBTQ plus students, and especially transgender youth, are at a significantly increased risk for negative outcomes, including risk of suicide, in part because of their experiences of not being seen, understood, and respected for who they are. Among the most important things we do in public education is to help students become the best version of themselves and to be prepared and empowered for their next step upon graduation. Despite their claims that this is about an interest in girls' sports participation, these efforts targeting transgender student athletes are only meant to other and disparage a group that already experiences marginalization. This effort is made in the interests of fracturing communities and is actively putting students at risk. I, along with my colleagues in this district, cannot accept this. Our community is strong and supports our students inclusive of their gender identities. Today, I want to be clear that we will continue to support all of our students, and that includes our transgender students. When suicide is the fourth leading cause of death among teenagers, and 38% of LGBTQ plus youth in Maine reported considering it last year, we must support mental health in our youth, not make it worse. I will reiterate and continue to make it clear to all of our students and staff that they are fully welcome in our community, inclusive of all aspects of who they are. In Portland, we welcome and normalize that youth will express a range of gender identities. We will provide mental health supports to those who seek it, and we will continue to ensure that staff and students can access such things as restrooms assigned to their gender. It also means ensuring that students continue to have access to all extracurricular activities, including sports. I want to spend some time specifically on sports because it seems that the true purpose of youth athletics has been forgotten. Elementary, middle, and high school sports are supported in the whole student priority of our strategic plan, not because of the opportunity to win trophies. And don't get me wrong, I am probably one of the most competitive people that I know. But it's because these opportunities, these athletic opportunities, are sincerely important in youth development. They provide students with the opportunity to build self-confidence, learn to work on teams, and to grow from the experiences of both winning and losing. All of our students, including our transgender students, deserve the opportunity to have this same benefit. Let me address some of the misconceptions that have arisen in the debate about transgender students in school athletics. The first is that participation by transgender girls takes away opportunities from other girls to participate on the team. We should continue to focus on developing more youth programs for girls. However, when it comes to transgender students, the fear is not based in fact. First, the number of students we are talking about is so small that it truly doesn't take away opportunities. Second, in cases where we are aware that students have participated, including in Portland Public Schools, there has been no loss of opportunity to participate. The second misconception is around safety and the fear that trans girls born male will be a danger to other female students on the court or the field. This fear is simply not backed by the research. The U.S. Olympic Committee conducted research that found that, on average, transgender athletes may actually be at a disadvantage. As a spectator to over 100 athletic competitions in the last 2 years in Maine, I've seen how the difference in size that exists in cisgender athletes as they develop at different rates is significant and more consistent differentiator than the one transgender athlete that may want to participate in a sports team would ever pose. The third is that this is about science. If we're going to follow science, we need to make sure that we're following the advice on youth development from our doctors and from the American Academy of Pediatrics, who are trained in the science of youth development, not politicians or a publicity poll. And the last is we need to think very carefully about what happens when regulating who is on a team sits at the federal level. There is a slippery slope if defining who is able to participate in a sports team is made at that level. Decisions about youth athletics are best made by parents and informed by coaches and athletic directors. It is not appropriate for us to focus on sex assigned at birth or hormones, but on what kids need, which is access to opportunities throughout their educational journey. That includes athletics, if they so choose. In my career, I've had the opportunity to know transgender students who've played sports. Transgender athletes are part of their teams and are embraced by their teammates. The only time I have seen it become an issue is when the ugliness of othering appears from the outside, when fans make disparaging comments. Never have I seen this be about complaints that the team has an unfair advantage. Instead, I've only seen this be truthfully shameful behavior by adults, bullying kids who are trying to have fun, grow, and be themselves. So far, I've been encouraged by the willingness of Governor Mills and the Maine Principal Association to stand up for the rights of our transgender athletes. However this plays out in the public arena or in the courts, at the human level, this is about all of our children and youth deserving the right to be seen, heard, and participate as themselves. In Portland Public Schools, all of our students, including our transgender students, will continue to be seen, heard, and allowed to participate as themselves. Moving forward, as a district, we will remain focused on the education of our students, ensuring that all students are prepared and empowered for life after Portland Public Schools. To that end, we have chosen to not respond publicly to each tweet, Dear Colleague letter, or executive order. The recent actions to freeze funding at our university system, the reduction in USDA funding for the purchasing of local food, the threats to federal funding for K-12 programming, and the staff layoffs at the Federal Department of Education, however, all threaten our ability to meet the vision of Portland Public Schools. As a result, we could no longer sit quietly. In closing, I want to be clear about three things. As a district, we will not deviate from our path of supporting all of our students and staff to achieve at high levels. This will require us to dig deep into our data, to investigate differences in outcomes, and to act aggressively to address those gaps. I believe we have a plan to do that work. Second, we will make changes as needed to ensure that our equity policy and practices are aligned to support this work. Third, this work is hard and it looks different for each of us. We will continue to provide training and support and protection for our students, staff, and community as they engage in this challenging but necessary work. As we've said many times, we are one team, one community, and one district. Our diversity makes us strong. And I invite us all to come together and join in the collective commitment to equity and to making sure that we create a joyful, rigorous, and safe learning experience for all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. The board affirms your statement and stands with you in your commitment to our community and all of the wonderfulness that our diversity brings. And with that, tonight, I'm actually focusing all of my comments on some of the cool things that are happening in our district because it is so wonderful. First, I just wanted to highlight that there are a series of walk-ins happening around the district tomorrow and across the country, actually, for folks to be able to show their support for public education in the landscape of what is happening across the country and with the threats to the Department of Education. Tomorrow morning at Deering High School from 7:50 to 8:05, at Rowe Elementary School from 8:20 to 8:45, at Presumpscott Elementary from 8:15 to 8:45. The public are welcome to come and stand outside of the schools in solidarity. Bring your signs. I'll be at Deering, and it would be wonderful to stand with people from the community as we move forward together. Another opportunity coming up to be in conversation with one another is our community conversations. We have 3 of those left where the board hosts a space to have the public get more information on the budget or talk about things that are important to them. March 20th, we have a Portland Adult Ed session, and anyone can come to any of these sessions. At 6:30, March 25th, we have a King Middle School session, and April 2nd, we have a virtual meeting that's online that anyone can join. And the times and locations are on the Portland Public Schools website. There's a really super fun event coming up that's called Sips, Sweets, and Stories that on April 16th from 4 to 6:30, where you get to go and sample a wide assortment of international desserts and meet members of our community. And this is all to benefit our Make It Happen program. The pictures of the desserts and where they're coming from look very exciting. And then I wanted to give a quick update, and our all-city concert is tomorrow night. Yes, I know, I'm very excited about that one too. I'm coming with my 9-year-old. We're not singing this time, but we are going to be there. It's going to be at Deering High School from 4 to 5:30. Please come and join us. The committee that is forming around discipline is moving forward. There was just an invitation internally for people to submit an application to be on that committee. So that work is moving forward. And I've heard a couple of things in the community that I wanted to address. Some people are interpreting progressive discipline as progressive as in liberal or opposite of conservative. And I think I just want to write that narrative that a progressive discipline is what happens in the discipline timeline or spectrum with the student. So if you, have, I'm not going to be very good at this examples, but it's like if you lose a part of your recess for one, what happens next if you commit the same kind of action? So it's how you move through discipline, not a liberal interpretation of discipline. And then, we have two really exciting updates that have happened at our high schools. Casco Bay High School's mock trial team is going to be representing the state of Maine at the 2025 National High School Mock Trial Championship in Arizona in May, competing with other teams from across the country. And Deering won first place at the state championship in public forum, the debate team for the second consecutive year. Deering won second place in the combined sweepstakes points for the Congress event at the state championship. Oh, yes. Deering won the overall debate sweepstakes first place trophy, and they haven't done that since at least 2017. And then to just name some students who are involved, perhaps one that's in the room, Alma Wallace, Ellis Retzer, Noah Rashid, and Zachary Lee have qualified for a national tournament after competing in qualifiers. So it'll be in Chicago over Memorial Day weekend. We wish you the best of luck. Thank you. Okay. Yes, Board Member
Chair,
Opperman.
just found out today that I believe 4 of our PATH students have won gold medals in Maine and will be going to the national competition in areas of automotive, community health, and also that's pretty awesome.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you for that update. I was just actually at PATHS today and I got to witness a virtual welding course. It was like the coolest thing. All the kids had virtual reality sets on and they were learning to weld in a classroom. I was like, sign me up. That seems really cool. Anyway, lots of great things happening across our district. And speaking of great things, we now have an update from the Foundation for Portland Public Schools. Do you like that segue, Andy?
I don't think I have a presenter link for up there. I only have a few slides. Is there a way what's the best way to share them?
Share it with me.
Yeah, you can just share them right in the board docs. Thank you, Superintendent.
Yes.
Great. I'll be fairly brief tonight as we're getting those slides up. But it has been, these quarterly reports, I always share them. They're somewhat sporadic. It's been about 2 months since my last one, but here again, thanks. Jump ahead to the next one. So I'm going to just briefly share the foundation's piece in budget process, but I'll leave most of that to Superintendent Scallon because I believe it's also in his brief budget update. I'm going to choose to spotlight tonight on music and the arts and some of our impact and plans in that area, and then our kind of usual stuff that we share. Thanks. The foundation has strategic priority areas that we've worked on over a long time. We also try to bring kind of enrichment, enhancement, and new things to the district. But one of the ways I sometimes talk about our work is that we try to address unmet needs or be responsive to the needs of the district. And in hearing about the increased healthcare costs and the needs to shave some things from the budget, we've stepped up and agreed to take on some of the costs so that they could be removed from the school budget. So I just wanted to draw attention to that briefly. The major categories there are Wabanaki studies that we've been supporting from the start. mobile makerspace staffing costs. The current plan is that we'll pay half of that for next year. We are thrilled to invest in local Black history curriculum development to be able to accelerate and deepen that work. Taken on a small expense of musical instrument repairs on behalf of the district. But the amounts that we're taking on, including the mobile makerspace that I don't think is in Superintendent Scallon slides, is over $130,000. So just wanted to share that with the group. Thanks. Next. So our focus is tonight, my focus is on music and the arts. We've recently been kind of gathering what we've done since we launched that, and I wanted to share some of those stats with you. We have purchased new kilns or repaired and updated the electrical systems at 9 of our schools across the district to support ceramics programming. We purchased a wireless mic system for performances that's shared across the secondary schools. And we have purchased 192 musical instruments for band, orchestra, and music classes, received and passed on 30 donated instruments, hundreds of accessories, amps, instrument cases and straps, musical scores, and things along those lines, which are exciting. And I didn't put it up here, but this weekend, on March 23rd, we have arranged for 140 students and families across the district to attend a Frog and Toad performance at Portland Ovations for free. Some little projects around music and the arts. So that's what we've been up to. And our next slide is where we're looking ahead. So we want to continue and expand that. And the conversation I heard at the first public forum for the school board, what felt like a clear focus from our community on increasing music in the arts. I know that the school board feels that as well. So we heard that. We also know that our community is very rich in artists of all types, and that transportation for students to leave schools to go and engage in the arts can be tricky, which led us to the idea of maybe we should try to create an artist in residency program for our schools, where we can pay for schools to bring artists in for short to medium length or even longer term residencies to do work that would tie to the curriculum, but expand the arts. And I do want to say very transparently that part of why that's appealing to us is that it would be a great benefit for students. Part of what's appealing is that hopefully it would be a great benefit for local artists. We would want to pay them, at least decently well would be the hope, and or arts organizations that already do this type of work. And the thought is that if we couldn't sustain it forever, it wouldn't be a terrible tragedy if it lasted a few years and went away versus hiring staff that then has to leave. So we're hoping to at least pilot this, if not just launch it next year. We don't have the funds in hand, but we believe we can get them. And so we're moving ahead towards that. And I wanted to put it out here in part to make our commitment to this idea real and public. So this is what we're hoping to do. And I welcome your ideas and thoughts on it. Moving ahead. And then just a brief summary of some of our other winter updates. We're preparing right now to launch the summer innovation and planning grants for staff that we've done for the last few years. That's our second staff grants program of the year. Applications will go live the first week in April. It just went out in the staff newsletter today. We'll start communicating that more broadly. We'll have $50,000 available this summer to pay staff, teachers, and other staff to collaborate and plan for next year. And that money is just for staff, $40 an hour for staff collaboration time. So that's coming up. I'm in the weeds mostly with Deering High School, but also a bit with Paths, Casco Bay, and Portland on dispersing scholarships, reaching out to donors who are supporting scholarships, and increasing scholarships across the schools. So that's something we're working on. We continue to provide fiscal sponsorship for Maine community swimming. Families for More, the Annetta Weatherhead Fund for Reiki, and the Step Up Awards are the projects we sponsor. We're still raising funds for families in crisis in the Portland Public Schools Food Fund. Most specifically, we have two quite substantial grant applications pending to support the Halal School Meals Network. We will hopefully hear about those soon. And we continue our long-running work of expanding STEM opportunities and resources. And then the last piece before our donations is I can't be up here between now and May 14th and not share this every time. Spring for Teachers, we hope you're all there. That's our annual community building and fundraising event. It is fun. It is going to be a celebration of teachers and learning. We'll have a bunch of new pieces to that. We're going to be creating a group kind of art installation with appreciation for teachers, which is going to be hopefully fun and beautiful. And we're going to work on creating a video of celebration of teachers, and then we'll be giving our second annual Distinguished Alumni Awards. And each of the awardees will talk very briefly about a staff member in the schools that impacted their lives. So putting teachers in the forefront, and tickets will go on sale next week. And then finally, like I always do, I give a summary of our donations in the couple of months to share. This does not, so I submitted this a week ago, as we do for school board meetings. So it doesn't, many of you may have seen, we sent an email out yesterday sharing that we don't know what's happening, but we know that, we don't know what the impacts will necessarily be, but we do know that half of the staff of the Federal Department of Education was let go, and that will certainly have an impact on our schools in ways that are yet to be determined. So we had a very robust community response to that email. We've, as of just a few minutes ago, had 59 donors contribute, which is a good number in 24 hours. And we've raised about $17,000, and that will be funds that we can invest in the schools. It will in no way fill a gap that if we lose federal funding, but it's a way for folks to contribute locally. So that's happening. But then beyond that, up until last week, we had received 24 business donations or grants since the January update, totaling $55,285. Not our biggest quarter, but that's sometimes the way it goes. And that's event sponsorships for our event. And then the Portland Kids Duathlon that takes place in the summer and is put on by Benchmark Real Estate. We also have started working with the finance department in the district to do the acknowledgement for gifts in kind to schools. So it used to be that at these meetings, superintendent or someone, one of his delegates would share thanks for folks who had given boots to Talbot or something like that. We're now providing the tax receipts and acknowledgements and thank yous for those. And so they will be shared in our annual report and through our donations. So those have been coming in. I mentioned the Portland Ovations and then a range of other grants. So if we switch, this is, we can go through these pretty quickly, but I do like to put the names of the businesses who contributed because they're here caring about our schools. I'm not going to read them all out, but these are the last couple of months of business donations. There's the second slide, and these are all available. And then a third slide, also business donations. And then finally, up until not including this week's campaign, we received 139 individual donations totaling $33,211 in the last 2 months for a range of our programming. And that's today's summary, unless there are questions.
Beautiful. What questions do folks have? Yeah, Vice Chair Bondo, go ahead.
Thank you, Andy. I'm all the time a big favor of what you are doing and making the community and the school. Just a clarification on the expenses that the foundation has offered to cover. It's just one-time expenses. Maybe the superintendent will have more clarification on that. It's just for the one-time, then.
In looking with Superintendent Scallon at the budget, I looked primarily at the academics budget because that's been the area we've worked in and thought these are things the district was prepared to pay, but that we thought we could remove the burden from the district and pay with external donation funds because they fit within our priority areas. So that's, yeah, they are this year only for now, although things like Wabanaki Studies we've been supporting as long as I've been in the position.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, but those are specific funding investments for next school year.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Yep.
Thank you. Other questions? Board Member Opperman, go ahead.
I just wanted to appreciate the fact that you're looking at residencies for artists and getting increased communication between the schools and artistic community. We've had some conversation with the student reps about their interest in that. So
Nice. I really would love, I'm just going to start the process of reaching out to various groups. I'll be reaching out to the Symphony and Portland Ovations and Side by Side and MAM but if you have specific ideas or would love to talk, I would love to talk. Michael Langenmeyer and our staff, we're having these conversations and we would welcome your input.
Just gratitude. I think we've been talking about creating joyful spaces for our students, and I just see the foundation is so vital to that. The things that you're providing are just so joyful for our students, like just the number of instruments, like to think that kids didn't have that before and now do. I'm just incredibly grateful. And just like the fundraising landscape is incredibly hard and challenging right now. And Andy, you continue to find new ways to bring in funds. So just a lot of gratitude for the foundation and all you're doing.
Thank you.
All right. I think that's it.
On the agenda is a just short update for the whole board about the budget conversation, which I feel like is pretty much everybody who was here at the conversation, but I was going to do a quick just update on that. Is that good now?
Yes, now is the time. Yes.
Great. One of the things that as we continue on our finance journey and just making things consistent, part of that work is making our reporting on finance consistent from year to year so that you can look from one year to the next year and look at department year to year and see how finances change. We're not there yet. And part of that is because last year our structure changed pretty significantly and we continue to just sort of like clean that up. And so one of the speakers, one of the public comments raised a couple of questions about departments. And so I think it's worth just addressing it just so that there's clarity there. One of the things that we do in the budget is we always do an average of salaries. And so it's not an actual reflection of exactly what is the staffing in a school or their cost. And so you can see sometimes changes there in a school that doesn't actually reflect a change. And so it's helpful to look at the overall budget and then staffing counts at a school level and not necessarily their exact salaries. That said, at the department level, that's where sometimes it's really worth digging in on exactly the staffing. And so in the communications space, one piece there is that it's a very small department and that, and I'm not quite sure why this happened, but I looked into it, our executive director of family, community, everything is budgeted this year and showing up in the budget under communications. And that's probably a reflection of where her position was coded in our payroll system in that process. And so that is the reflection there and the accounting for that, as well as one individual who's a part-time individual going from a 0.3 position to a 0.5. And so when it's a very small department, those kinds of changes can result in what looks like a pretty significant adjustment. On the superintendent's office, first, just to put context in it, the superintendent's office also includes our president of the teachers union. So we split the cost of the teachers union president with the PEA, but for budget purposes, we show it all under the superintendent's office so that she has a home. It also includes the Foundation for Portland Public Schools and the 3 staff that are there. It includes as well Sarah Warren, the Senior Executive Director of Strategy. And if you were to look at the FY25 budget, that department was actually its own department last year. And so it's now folded in here. And so it is that adjustment of Sarah Warren that is driving those adjustments. In fact, the budget doesn't indicate any pay change for the superintendent, and for all non-rep as we talked about it in one of the budget slides, for our contracted individuals, people who have collective bargaining agreements, what we used for their pay increase was whatever their collective bargaining called for. For our non-rep, for everybody who's non-rep except for myself, we did the average of the collective bargaining agreements for a placeholder. And for the superintendent, we did not put in anything. And I guess the only other person or people that we did not put an increase in for was the board. And so the board gets a stipend, and we did not include that. So that's what's driving it. And one of the things that we really want to get better at and more consistent at, and we made a step this year on it in terms of how we loaded the budget, was to get to a spot where each year you can look at it and it's consistent in terms of positions and staffing that exists there. So I just want to share that as we continue to norm on and have this. I'm going to share just a quick update for folks who are following along at home or not on the state of the budget, and am open to members of the committee as well as others who've been participating to also feel free to jump in and share if you'd like. I have posted the slides from the Finance Committee there, and just have a condensed version here just to share that. And so just to remind folks, the overall budget that we're discussing and that the Finance Committee will vote to move back to the overall board or some version of it. The initial proposal had an overall budget of $171.7 million that was focused on student experiences and outcomes that was directly aligned to the strategic plan. The budget book that you have includes all revenues and expenses and not just local funding. And so 171 million represents both our local budget as well as federal and all state funding. The budget was developed after extensive engagement with the community, staff, and school leadership. It includes, as the committee's discussed on several occasions, investments in music at the high schools, reading support at our elementary schools, and special education district-wide. And the proposed budget, as initially discussed, would raise the school portion of the property taxes by 5.3%, or 42 cents per $1,000 of assessed value, which for a median homeowner, which we're saying is a $500,000 house, this would result in an increase of $210 per year. After the presentation of that initial budget, we did learn that our medical benefits would come in higher than the 6% that we budgeted. And so that's been part of what's been sitting underneath the Finance Committee discussions. And so just as an overview of our benefits, PPS provides generous benefits to our staff to stay competitive within the market. Our medical benefits are budgeted to cost $22.7 million. Our dental, just under $800,000, and our retirement, $5.3 million. Our medical and dental benefits premiums were each budgeted to increase by 6 percentage points. And when we received the information that it would go up, MEA Trust is who administers our medical benefits. They indicated that it could increase by as much as 18 percentage points. That was not Portland Public School specific, but that was what was shared across the state. There's some context that's worth sharing there. So the district share, the employer share of the increase for members in the PEA, which is our teachers, social workers, guidance counselors, that increase is currently capped at 5.38%, which is 3% annually plus 2.3% increase from last year as well. And so their contract is capped at a 3% increase each year. There was a 5.3% increase last year, so we owe that 2.3%, or have to take that on this coming year. The PPS share for all other staff is currently not capped. And so if it were to increase by 18 percentage points, the employer share, our share, would be that whole 18 percentage points. We currently have budgeted 6 percentage points. For every 1% increase above 6%, there's an approximate $110,000 increase in premiums. And so a 12 percentage point increase would be $1.32 million. We did get, since we started these conversations, dental benefits, and the premium increase has been finalized at 5.97%. I'd like to claim that I'm really good at darts and got that pretty close, but it just means that we have neither savings nor increased expenses there. And so we're really talking at this point just about medical. And we'll learn our medical benefit premiums in late March or early April. Last year, we learned on April 3rd, which would be right in the middle of the first read and the second read of the budget as it's currently scheduled. And then just so that everybody has the context, the board did ask us, and we did share this in the Finance Committee, but just sharing it here so that everybody has this as we go through these conversations. The board asked us how a $500,000 or a $1 million adjustment in the budget would impact property tax rates. And so the chart on the left shows this. And so on the left, you can see what our tax levy increase will be based on an assumed increase in the property tax valuation overall. So we're assuming already that the property tax valuation in the city will increase to $15,320 million. If we were to do no increase in the mill rate, just that increase in property tax valuation, we would see in that first line an increase in our tax levy of $1.3 million. Right now, the proposed budget is for a 5.3% increase, 42-cent mill rate, and there's where you see a 7.75 increase in the overall tax levy. That's what our budget currently proposes, which is where you get the $210 impact on the median homeowner. If there was a $500,000 adjustment, it would, if it was a reduction in the budget, it would reduce the property tax per 1,000 of assessed value by 3 cents or to $8.27 from $8.30. And it would reduce the property tax bill on a median home by $16.32 for the year or $1.36 per month. A $1 million adjustment would impact the property tax rate by 7 cents and $32.64 on an annual rate. And so that's the context on which we've had these discussions. And so the proposed mill rate as it stands right now that the committee's been discussing is $8.30. On a $500,000 home valuation, that would be $4,150 for the school portion of the property tax, which again is to get your total property tax is an average of the school portion and the city portion almost exactly. So far, what I would say is that the committee's had a robust discussion on both the comfort level with the proposed budget as well as potential adjustments. And what you have here, and if you were to go on board docs and what you can see in the backup slides in board docs is more detail on each of these proposed adjustments. And these are not adjustments that the committee has said to move forward with. These are adjustments that members of cabinet developed so that the finance committee had areas that they could discuss and engage in, as well as others that they may have wanted. And I would say that the committee's discussed them. Nothing's finalized yet, but there's been general sort of a positive acceptance and receptiveness to Andy's offering around the foundation piece, which is the first line, which is, as she shared, their willingness to assume some additional costs in alignment with work that they've already supported. And then the other areas are ones that were discussed and are still points of discussion. But one of the things that we just want to clarify for probably the public is there are not things that have been said we're going to change. but instead have been things that have been discussed. And so I think that's where we are at this point in the discussion. Here's the full calendar. On March 24th, it's anticipated that the Finance Committee will vote on the budget to move it back to the full board. Before that happens, on Thursday, so 2 days from now, you're all welcome to join. Hopefully, all the members of the Finance Committee will be able to join a joint meeting of the finance committees of both the City Council and the school board. I don't have the exact time on it. I'm looking. Is it 5 o'clock? It's at 5 o'clock. It'll be on Zoom. That meeting will be an opportunity where we will present the budget to the joint committees. And the meeting on the 27th that is listed there, that meeting will actually focus on the audit report. And so that's the update. Chair Bryden, I don't know if there's anything you want to add on it.
Sure. Thank you, Superintendent. One quick note on the Thursday the 20th and Thursday the 27th. If folks are looking to join and watch the discussion, it presents like a city council meeting versus a finance committee meeting of the Board of Education. So, and then I just, if the timing is okay, I just wanted to ask a quick clarifying question about during the section of your remarks where you were talking about the non-rep folks, and then right after that you said board stipends were you did not include them. I just wanted to get clarity for everybody in the room and the community, specifically what you meant by did not include. Is it that you didn't include an increase because there is no increase, because or like some other way of reading those three words?
Yeah, so the regulation actually on stipends for board members is defined in I believe it's actually in the charter, and it is dictated that the board members will get the same stipend that city councilors receive. And so it's defined there, and so it will get implemented once city council identifies it. It's not anticipated to be of significance. You guys are very generous with your time, and you are not compensated for it. And so it is budgeted right now at your current stipend rate, which is not of any significance, is approximately, for public viewers, approximately $7,000.
Thank you for that clarity. And then just in terms of general addition to the conversation, I want to reiterate what I said in yesterday's committee meeting to just express gratitude for your efforts and the efforts of the team in putting together so much clear, effectively communicated information so that the committee could have really good conversations about different areas that different committee members wanted to interrogate relative to the budget, and also just the hard work of bringing forward a budget that yes, absolutely. Applause. That really strikes a good balance between efficiency, being respectful and careful with taxpayer dollars, and providing an excellent education to students. So I want to thank you for that.
Any other questions from the board or student representatives? I saw board member Lena, and then I'll come to vice chair.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify the amount of money that the foundation was going to cover. In Andy's presentation, I saw the number 130,000, but in the superintendent's presentation, it was 63,000.
So the number I'm showing of the 63,000 is an increase from what was originally planned. And it's actually, so let me try this a different way. So the original budget book has $63,000 in expenses that, if you were to approve the budget book that was originally proposed by the superintendent, would have $63,000 that the foundation has now said that they will pay for. And so basically, with how our budget process works, in this time, you need to say, we authorize pulling that out and allowing the foundation to pay. In other times of the year, that would naturally happen, but in our budget process, that's how it works. And so that's why you see the difference. The foundation actually pays for probably more than $130,000 when we factor in the mobile makerspace, the staff, et cetera.
Vice Chair Bondo, go ahead.
Thank you, Superintendent. I have one small question here on the reduction on the custodian, because I heard the adult education, they're missing custodian. So I'm just wondering if we reducing here a full-time custodian and we have some needs. So what we have some trade-off from that.
So
what we do.
Yeah. So the adult ed is not getting changed in custodian. There's a personnel piece that we could talk about, but we can't talk about in public session on why that is the current case that they're facing. The piece that is in the budget, just to be like really clear, is we have 3 staff right now that work a second shift in custodian that are floats. They serve as extras. So if somebody is absent, we move them around to fill in. The budget book that was proposed to you on March 4th added a 4th one. And so there was a proposal to add a 4th. When we learned that benefits would come in higher, we said if we needed to make a reduction in the proposed budget, one spot that could be considered, we don't love it, but one spot that could be considered would be to not add that as a 4th. So, well, conceptually, it may feel like it's a reduction. It is not a reduction in what currently exists. It's a reduction in what is proposed.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. And I don't know, maybe I miss, do we have the exact amount we're taking from the fund reserve? And then if we have some details on those expenditures?
Yes. So in the budget, there is the fund balance. So the proposal for the general fund, there's 3 different fund balances that we have.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
There is a fund balance that is food service. There's a fund balance that adult ed has. And then there is a fund balance that is the general. This budget proposes to use $3.9 million in the general fund balance. On the 27th, when you get the audited financials at the joint committee meeting, you will see at that time, that's actually when we'll see it as well, exactly our audited financials, which will tell you what our current fund balance is.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much.
I can
Yes,
tell you where it is in the budget book. There's
Okay.
a page. I asked the same question at the last meeting.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions from board members? Student representatives? Okay, awesome. So next meeting is Thursday. And then after that, it goes back to Finance Committee. So those are, if other board members want to participate, those are good places.
Can I get the time for Thursday? When is it?
5 o'clock virtual.
Okay. I might not be able to be there. I have something else to attend during that time. So.
Okay.
One last quick note. Thursday, the 20th and Thursday, the 27th, there is no public comment. But the other meetings on that slide, there will be. So.
Thank you, Board Member Bryden. With that, we're going to move to the report of the secretary. Let me just make sure I have the right dates in front of me. I do. Great. So the consideration and action to approve the meeting minutes of March 4th, 2025. Are there any corrections to those meeting minutes from March 4th, 2025? Okay, seeing none, the minutes are approved as distributed. And then I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Thank you, Board Member Ali. Is there a second? Thank you, Board Member Lena. All those in favor? Great. We are adjourned at 8:23.